is North Park here at the Alliant Energy Center, the 2022 NOBULL CrossFit Games for team event number 8. Final day of competition for 16 of these teams. You don't want to be them. We'll get to the cut line in just a moment. Jamie Hagia is our reporter down on the field. 2009 champion Tanya Wagner, Jeremy Austin. My name is Joel Godette. Standings have widened after this morning's event at the pool. Mayhem Freedom with a 15-point lead. That is ballooned. That's the largest point growth for any one team after any one event so far at these games. A 27-point jump to now a 42-point lead. Event description from here, that as always sets up Dumbbell Highball for us and is brought to us by RP.
Great challenge of events so far, and event number 8 is no different. Male, male, female, female relay with one person working at a time. We've got a dumbbell overhead walking lunge, 10 dumbbell cleaner jerks, 30 wall ball shots, and the reverse on the way back. However, we are going to have some snatch on the way back down. 70 pounds on the dumbbell, 100 pounds for the men. I'll tell you what, that height on the wall ball, it's going to be a challenge.
Let's talk about how that height can be a challenge, Jamie Hagia.
First time we are seeing wall ball targets at this height. 12 feet for men, 11 feet for women, which will be difficult for your shorter athletes. Someone like me who's 5'3", accuracy is going to be very important, and you might even have to see them jumping to get it to the target. I'm going to see if I can do a couple of these.
There's that jump for Jamie. Tanya, the difference in the height, you're just looking at Jamie trying to do it, is what?
Yeah, the biggest thing is the demand on the legs. A lot of time these athletes have been used to just throwing with their arms, so I love that part of the higher wall ball, making more of a demand on your low body and having to use your legs.
Take a look at our lane assignments here with half the field going. 18 teams to keep an eye on, and the cut line is what we're looking at. Who was positioned around 17 on the leaderboard to around 23 on the leaderboard. Rhapsody right in that mix in lane 11, so too is Mayhem Justice in lane 12. Our recipe for success, that is brought to us by Trifecta.
This is a heavy sprint for these guys, and it's a heavy dumbbell, so the reps have to count. Costly errors just for the fatigue and the clock factor is just going to be costly. So that first, also send your stronger athlete second on both men and ladies side, because they have a couple options. They're going to use that snatch, and they're going to be stronger for that, as well as they can do some cleanup damage control. Camo Athletics, rookie team who qualified out of the MAC. They're good when it comes to their body weight. I am anxious to see what they do here. They need to have a good event. We are going to have cuts today, and they sit in 19th place right now. They're not safe, but they need a great event if they want to continue on and see their competition continue to the final day.
They are 15 points safe of the cut line at the moment.
You come into an event after 7 pretty grueling events of varying descriptions. We've got monostructural, we've got weightlifting, we've got gymnastics. We're going to see a fair variety of different movements. But if you want to pound for pound and you want bang for buck, your overhead walking lunge is one of those movements that is just so tough to start with.
Why is that?
It is so grueling. Your demand on every part of your body. Considering your core is trying to stabilize your trunk, that shoulder position, we're getting to that strong shoulder position now for the clean and jerks, which must come up, touch that shoulder position, and then go into the position of overhead stability. Wide position on the catch as well. You want to get those feet stacked under those hips as best you can.
Those 10 alternating dumbbell clean and jerks. Camo is our guaranteed rate team to watch here in this opening heat.
And that demand, Jeremy, not only the fatigue from a strength movement, but the flexibility in order to get that dumbbell overhead. From here, their feet are under their body. There's not that demand, but those lunges really are taxing to the shoulder and to your core.
Already a no rep for depth here as we get our first look at these wall balls to a 12-foot target.
But no surprise who we're seeing here in CrossFit Milford, the strongest team that took first place in event strong. They're a very strong team. They should do very well here and set the time to beat for the next heat. Little mishap there. When you throw to a different height, your timing is all thrown off. You have to wait a little extra, and it's actually hard to wait when your body's used to squatting sooner.
Well, back in the day, the old CrossFit methodology, there was a 2-for-1 wall ball where you had to throw the ball a little bit higher in the air and do a double squat.
Remember, yes.
So do I. And I had a lot of times when that ball was coming straight back down on my face because I wasn't quick enough. But throwing that ball at that extra height is going to be an absolute mission for some of these athletes.
And it's a timing thing too, right? We just saw from that wide shot, you had to look really carefully. A wall ball went right through some arms. You're just not used to the ball coming down when it's coming down. Timing and rhythm is so much a key of all of the movements you see in CrossFit.
Adding one of the components of fitness of accuracy, that's really important. Like, he's getting
Right
some
there.
no reps here because he's not hitting that target fully. In the wall ball, we always need to see a few things here. We need to see hip crease below the knee. That's the full depth of the squat. We need to see the ball hit the target. He just missed. It was high enough, but he didn't touch. He has to touch, and he has to get it to the proper height. First athlete done. That was Dylan Bailey. Now the back half. Here's what's going to happen. That second male athlete, who is Aaron Hanna for West Chase, here coming through, he's going to go in reverse order for this. I'm sorry, he's coming back through in the same order.
They'll go in reverse order, so each male will go, and then they'll go back down the ladder.
Nice switch on these dumbbell alternating clean and jerks.
Tony Ficini here from Milford.
You just need to keep your pace and your tempo.
Well, let's talk strategy on where you put certain athletes. You're going to have some strengths, some weaknesses, and ability levels. For me, it's not a wall ball at all, but it would be for a lunge. So I could go out pretty easily with an overhead lunge, but I'd get to the wall ball and fail miserably. So getting that balance, if you were going to be sending your Apex team to the CrossFit Games, how would you structure this?
It really is about utilizing your areas of strength. And so you're going to push a little harder where you can and take breaks where you need to, because you don't want to fail and you don't want to tax yourself so much and get in the tank too hard, because you have to come back through this.
Also be very careful when you're dropping 100-pound dumbbells. Aaron Hanna almost lost a big toe. Always show control inside the affiliate. Your owner will thank you. Gym owner will thank you.
Especially barbells.
Yeah. RP Strength is the official nutrition coaching platform of the NOBULL CrossFit Games.
I like seeing these athletes adjust their feet. They're noticing that with that higher wall ball target, they need to stand back a little bit farther so they can get the angle of the ball to actually hit some more no reps now, because the ball just wasn't able to get to the target, wasn't touching the target. So who just squeaked in there? There's a lot more demand.
Well, if you think about squat mechanics, and we think about, you mentioned the hip crease below knee, driving knees out, feet balanced, chest up. Most athletes at this level are nailing that to make the movement even easier, even they are going to a different target, a higher target.
Now we saw the tag coming back down for these athletes. They'll go through in the reverse order. Check out that QR code from RP. Get 50% off the RP Diet Coach app. That is this week only from RP. So you've got these 12-foot wall balls. Seth Stovall. Look at how Seth Stovall is having to launch the wall ball for Mayhem Justice. Black shirt on the left of your screen. And it's taking a lot out of him. So now you take a break. Make sure you're not going to fail the next rep here. You can get some sort of momentum going. But look at that jump.
You think about power and extension. We talk about triple extension in CrossFit and nailing those movements. So that's extension of ankle, knee, and hip on the way up. And squeezing your gluteus maximus and being able to open your hips is going to generate way more power, which is going to propel that wall ball up to the target a lot easier.
Milford on the left, West Chase on the right. Milford, when we talk about the cuts, came into the day in 27th place. They're outside of contention right now to advance onto Sunday, but not by much. 286 points has them in 25th. About 50 points back. They do need to have a phenomenal finish here if they want to continue to play after today.
change of movement now on the way back down, the cleaner jerk on the way up, hitting the shoulder on the way up as part of the range of movement. The power snatch now where the dumbbell can traverse straight up overhead, and that nice tight position, nice and close to the ear, is exactly what you want to see. More position, more strength, stability, and the closer it is to your ear, the shoulders are gonna thank you for it.
This is Devin O'Neill from Milford. Let's talk about 100 pounds right now for these male athletes. 50 pounds is what you would typically see RX in the CrossFit Open. This is double that. Now, if you're playing at this level, you're going to be playing with 100-pound weights, but this is not something you train with on the daily. How does it increase the level of difficulty?
We think about level of difficulty. Back in 2012 at regional level, they surprised us at regional level with the 100-pound dumbbell, and we got there and we went, what? So we had to go out and buy some 100-pound dumbbells, which was unheard of. They're sitting there with a lot of dust on them at the moment at the affiliate because they don't get used quite often. But we were in a little bit of shock when we had to go out on the competition floor and start using these things as a dumbbell snatch, which was the 10 alternating, which we're seeing right now. So progress forward. It's still a heavy implement. And if you try and replicate that towards a barbell, like we're talking a lot of weight getting up overhead.
21-foot walking lunge running to the finish line there. So one male athlete is done for Milford. Dylan Bailey here for West Chase. Time clock on this event is 30 minutes. You do have plenty of time. Male athletes work first, followed by the female athletes.
But if we look at this in terms of 4 rounds, let's just say, down for the men, back for the men, down for ladies, back for the ladies. Milford is about 5 minutes, 19 seconds for their men to get through that first portion. That is going to be a time that the second heat is going to have to chase.
It is probably going to stand up right throughout this. 30 minutes is, as you mentioned, a long time, a long duration. And we've had teams test this to be able to gauge what sort of time cap is required. Milford, they were outstanding on the strong event.
And you spoke about the fact that we are in the 4th day of competition, just compounding effects of the week, and just the shoulder fatigue right here and being able to stabilize in these walking lunges when you have to use one arm for a portion and then you have to use the other arm at that weight. It's always easier to use one side, so they're really getting the demand on their weaker side. There
goes Aaron Hanna to finish for West Chase Red. 12th individual at these games back in 2015. He is the rock of the West Chase team, hailing from Baltimore, Florida. Back to Tony Ficini here for Milford, their second male athlete. Once he gets through with these dumbbell snatches, he'll have a 21-foot overhead walking lunge. Then he'll race to the finish and release the women for Milford.
So judges either end, so once they do get into that end zone, the judges are getting flagged to let the other guys know that they can get released from the other end of the field.
You're watching the top of the screen. Teams flipping back and forth there, both of them on the cut line. Mayhem Justice currently in second. Rhapsody is currently in third. Both need to have a tremendous event. Rhapsody is 34 points back of the cut line. It was in a tie for the cut line before the swim this morning. Mayhem Justice, 28 points south of the cut line. You've got to put some distance between yourselves and some other teams. Maybe 4, 5, 6 teams have to be between you and that cut line in order to gain the ground you need in this event. 1855 in a very similar boat. Mark Hauser finishing.
And because this is more of a waterfall style event, it is so important that you just crush your race to the finish. You move. Every second matters to give your ladies as much time as they can. You don't want to be the weakest link. If you are the strong athlete, you have to push yourself here. Even though you're going first, you have no luxury of time. You have to feel the pressure.
CrossFit Milford still leads the way here. Taking a look at Christine Middleton. new member to this team. She was on the Ocean State's finest team that qualified to the games out of Granite Games last year. Did not wind up getting to compete, so finds her way back to the games with Milford here in 2022. Team that lost to Mayhem Freedom back in 2015. It was Rich Froning's very first team's victory. The margin was 5 points. It's like the villain origin story. That hasn't happened since. Another look here at Dumbbell Highball.
Male, female relay. 2 males working first of all, going down North Park with the dumbbell overhead walking lunge into the dumbbell cleaner jerks, 30 high wall ball shots. And then on the way back, 30 more wall ball shots into dumbbell power snatch. And again, finishing off before they tag their team members, the overhead walking lunge, 70 pounds for the women and 100 pounds for the men. Conversion rate for that, it's about 45 kilos per hand, about 31 kilos for the ladies.
Now onto the wall balls.
How tall is 12 feet?
12 feet is about the size of an African elephant. Most common elephant you would be associated with seeing. Weighs 1,400 pounds though, not 20, like the wall ball here. 2 refrigerators stacked on top of each other, that is 12 feet. Or our favorite metric, 12 rulers.
Are your rulers different? Like the difference over here compared to home? Like we're 30 centimeter rulers. Is that the same size ruler?
Yeah, you just flip them over. You don't have that back in?
No, we just got centimeters.
We have double-sided rulers in the States.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So you learn something new every day. So 12 of those are. Yeah.
But again, here you look at the height difference, right? So it throws off the rhythm a little bit. It's not the same comfort you would look at for a typical wall ball shot at a normal 9-foot target for women at the affiliate Evergreen.
A lot of ladies are using 10 foot. You go to 10 foot, it's a standard height, but adding that extra foot there, it's really more about the trajectory of the ball. And this is where core to extremity is really important. And honestly, the fingertips and the hands just pushing that angle toward the wall or toward the target is what's really important for these athletes.
Positioning of this dumbbell lunge has really caused some athletes some dramas, and the closest you can get to your arm, the easier it's going to be.
Mario Santaella from AB, that's a team that's on the cut line right now.
His arm just heading out towards the side. He wants to try and get as close as he can. You can see how hard his core is working, trying to lock those abs in, and he's got a little bit of a tilt on that body, which is even going to cause him more fatigue. The straighter that torso, the easier the lunge.
Keep in mind, this is a half-hour time cap, so if you still have male athletes out there working in the next 5 seconds, you've already hit the halfway point and you have not completed half the work. As we take a look at Rhapsody's Christian Mathis here. Again, Rhapsody's 34 points south of the cut line. CrossFit Milford again.
It's exactly the position I was talking about 30 seconds ago. That is great position to be in. Close to your center of mass, trying to balance out. You're going into a full lunge, so you want to make sure you've got balance between front leg, back leg, and get that torso right in the middle. But Milford was so good in the strong event earlier on. No surprise to see them not struggling in this dumbbell lunge.
Now on to those snatches. Or excuse me, the clean and jerks.
And
Light
really,
up the comment section.
I was going to say, this movement for the clean and jerks first is just really, I'd like to see her use her legs a little more hip, just so that on the way back when she has the snatches, that she leaves a little bit more. Super strong athlete. When she gets to the wall balls, her legs will be just fine. But really doing more of a kettlebell swing, a one-arm kettlebell swing here. She is strong.
Almost
that 70-pound weight like that.
It's almost a muscle cleaning position, and then the quick jerk overhead. That's awesome. Big fan of strict movement.
Has been a CrossFit fan for a while. Emma Ferreira played lacrosse in college. Her lacrosse bio on the Dowling College website said favorite athlete. Most people say like Kobe Bryant, Brett Favre. No, Rich Froning.
Oh, then there she is, out here competing against him.
I'm sure the sports information director was like, Rich Froning. Milford in 25th place. at the start of this event. Need to make it to 20th in order to continue your weekend past today. And that's a good wall ball movement right there. That ball stays high, it doesn't pull her forward, well stacked underneath.
She has a great squat, and from that base, that's where all of her power comes from. When she gets that full extension, times it well. Nice big throw. She's keeping the ball high at her face, which keeps her torso nice and upright.
Fastest wall ball sequence so far for 30 is Milford at 1:54, so great split time. Milford men getting in about 1:10 for their 30 wall balls, which is a pretty good rate for going for 30 wall balls at a higher height.
At that height, sure, absolutely. The time it takes to get there and get back. Now she got a no rep.
It was 2 in a row. She almost took it on the chin back-to-back attempts.
The fatigue has set in, and she's not getting that ball high enough for it to count. Needs to take a breather.
We had Jamie Hagia demonstrating the wall ball earlier.
And it's got to hit the target. So you did all that work there for Emma Ferreira. Make sure that ball goes forward and hits the target. 30 wall balls here. Ferreira is done. And she'll tag out her partner. Christine Middleton goes to work back down the opposite direction. Then again, you see hitting the bottom of the target made the catch awkward.
And
bouncing off as well.
The issue here is the fatigue. I love this. When is the last time we saw no reps like this for wall balls because they couldn't get it to the height? Maybe they're going so fast they don't hit depth, but not for height, not for not hitting the target.
You haven't seen me do a wall ball.
Joel, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about games athletes.
Oh, ouch.
No, but this is what I love. I love that Adrian Bosman, he challenged them here at a movement that seems simple, right? Wall balls. We all know them. We see them a lot, but 30 is a sneaky number, and when you're a little bit greedy and you just want them and you think, I can do that, I can do 30, it's just a foot higher, the demand, it compounds. That's fantastic, and we're on the way back down. Second 30 set. You got to be careful. You have to make these count.
Rhapsody on the right, Milford on the left.
We've got to think there's 2 different ways you can make them more difficult. You can't go any deeper than your squatting depth anyway, so you've either got to make it heavier or you've got to make it higher, and we're testing these athletes on the competition floor. This is not just an event for them to do. Adrian Bosman sat there and went, okay, what can I do to test these athletes?
And a lot of times that's a great point, because I feel like at the affiliate level, a lot of people think, just go heavier, just go heavier. I love that Adrian expanded the margins of the test, especially for the teams here. They've got a lot of variety and expanded those margins from what they've been tested with now this higher target. I love the 12 for the guys. You know, it just opens the door for people to be training now at different elements with the wall ball.
Well, as we know, heavier is not always better. More is not always better. It's sometimes just more. So if you're scaling back your wall balls, we can scale back the height. We can scale back the weight. The movement doesn't change. But if you want to upscale, the best thing to do is go higher first. So get your intensity first. Technique, consistency, intensity in that order, and back it back down when you have to. Or if you have to start again to learn a new movement.
Big jump, getting that full extension because she needs to. These athletes are tremendously strong. They're whipping around 70-pound dumbbells, so it is not the weight issue. It's getting that extension, the power to generate the momentum to get that ball out of their hands.
Tammy Jerkis here for CrossFit West Chase. Replaced Hannah Hardy on this team from a year ago. Hannah Hardy went and was the captain of West Chase's other team, which just nearly missed qualifying for the game. So West Chase, another affiliate that almost put two teams here to the games in Madison.
I'll tell you the most frustrating thing about wall balls, we've just seen it on screen, is getting the wall ball up and it just comes straight back down and doesn't hit anything. All that effort and you don't even hit a target.
There's Kim DeCray, the other female for West Chase. Going back to work, you have Rhapsody and Milford. Rhapsody right, Milford left.
The flexibility, though, here for Milford. Being able to just hold that dumbbell, lock it back,
Christine Middleton is one of the strongest women in this field on the left side of your screen for Milford. We saw that yesterday in the strong event. We saw it last year when she set the CrossFit in-competition record for a clean and jerk, beating a record previously held by Amanda Barnard. Christine Middleton has some muscle, and this is easy for her on these 21 feet of walking overhead lunges.
Her left side actually looked easier for her, and she gave her right side here that looks like just a bit tighter. The elbow's coming away from her head, showing me that she's just a little bit having to be a little more cautious with it. Still crazy strong, but really smart to use your non-dominant arm second, give it the most amount of rest.
And a race to the finish. Now Milford has one athlete left to complete work here. 7.5 minutes until the cap. Back to Kimberly DeCray here for West Chase. And the black and pink knee sleeves. Finishes with the 30 wall balls. So now she'll move on to the 10 alternating dumbbell power snatches. And she's one of the taller athletes in the field. At 5'9", wall balls did not seem to be an issue for Kim DeCray.
They weren't, because she got through them in 1:46, which is a pretty quick time that we've seen so far from this first heat across the field. Height is going to be a definite advantage for wall balls. You're closer to the target. Yeah, you've got a squat still, but you'll reach. You don't have to extend as much. You don't have to jump off the ground, as we saw with Jamie Higia when we crossed out to her early before the event.
The height is one thing, but she's coming off her third ACL tear prior to last year's games. She recovered and competed at the games last year off of her third ACL. What gives her trouble most? Hitting squat depth. And then she goes out there and crushes wall balls.
Sometimes when you get injured, it's an opportunity to go back and relearn the basics and just refine those basics. And anytime you have some time off or you get an opportunity to kind of start back over, as people say, you actually work on things even to a greater degree, focusing even more on those little things. So she looked like she did that.
Emma Ferreira, Milford on the left side of your screen. Christian Mathis, Rhapsody on the right side of your screen.
Emma Ferreira, 1:30 on those wall balls. That is the fastest time we've seen so far for a set of wall balls, and it's in the last set.
And that was the other key to this event. Send your faster athlete, your stronger athlete, maybe a more dominant athlete mentally that can embrace that suck factor a little bit more, because they're the last one. They're your cleanup athlete. There's a lot of pressure on you, and you need to get through it. The people that can kind of just turn it off and go, that's the ones you send.
Emma running into a little bit of a struggle here. Christian Mathis is motoring through. 70-pound dumbbell seems like it's 25. She'll drop that and sprint to the finish here at the 24:36 mark. Rhapsody's moving. And Ferreira's taking a beat.
When you think about that, Tanya, with
That's Nordic, by the way, that just came across.
Strategy in your event, I'm a big fan of getting out in front and staying out in front, and you're like the opposite. You want to bring your strongest athlete home. I know they do that in 4x100 relays with your fastest runner, but that mental...
We had a little misstep there, Jeremy. You have to have control, and you can't have an extra step there. You just bring your foot toward the next plant foot, and then you move on. So she had to repeat that step.
So that mental mindset of getting ahead, and people can see you ahead, and maybe that just gets into their heads a little, and they sit back and go, oh, they're getting in front, we won't try and catch them. Or the opposite, hey, we're going to hunt them down.
That's what it takes. You have to know your athletes. You have to know everybody on the team and who thrives in which situation.
Milford still leads the way. This is the final overhead lunge to the finish. 21 feet of work. We're going to have plenty of teams that get in under the cap. Nordic is in second, then West Chase we've shown you throughout the course of the event. 4-minute mark until the cap. Get across here, drop that dumbbell, and Ferreira goes. Milford needs to do some work to make it in to Sunday, and it has started doing just that out here at North Park. Fight for second here with Nordic. West Chase as well.
Nordic sitting in 20th place coming into this event. They need to keep themselves there on that bubble line or get themselves ahead. So you're only working against these athletes here next to you to know what they're going to do. You can only expect that the next heat is going to go even faster. So they pushed themselves, kept themselves as close as they could to Milford. But Nordic still not comfortable to make the cut.
Well, nobody in this heat is. If you're here in Heat 1, CrossFitters want to know how hard you're going to work on Saturday. And you can start to see the toll that that dumbbell takes.
These athletes need to use their full body, drive with the legs, get that big hip extension, pull themselves underneath. The snatch, we said, is much more demanding than the clean and jerk.
Falling across the finish line, CrossFit 1855. It is hot out there. If you're watching at home and you're on the turf, it makes it even hotter. Yes, it's a cloudy sky in Madison, but it is unforgiving.
It's not just hot, it's the humidity. It's that heavy air that you feel when you're just standing there. We were dripping, just walking a little bit. So moving, the demand, like breathing and needing to get the oxygen in this weather is just awful.
And the exhaustion in the end zone. The relief.
89 degrees, 60% humidity, feels like 98. And then throw on top of that fact, you are on turf. That makes it even hotter. We have 90 seconds left to go here in the heat. No one has finished at this juncture except for Milford. Rhapsody is coming through. West Chase as well. And West Chase does finish. Jerkis comes across. Here comes Nordic. Michaela Norman done. Critical points for Rhapsody that they're not able to claim here. And now here comes Rodriguez. So Rhapsody does finish. About 50 seconds until the time cap. But they were 34 points out of safety until tomorrow.
You see the struggle, athletes finishing that lunge and trying to run to get over that finish line. Rhapsody needed a good result here.
Kilo 2 is also in a troublesome spot. Well on the outside looking in 29th place. They're the next team left to go here.
Nice focus, stabilizing for every little step.
Ali Zerke is good. You got 8 seconds. Kilo 2. Finishers, baseball slide and all. They're from Iowa. This might not be heaven, but if you're a CrossFitter, it's darn close.
Way to slide in there, just under the time cap.
CrossFit Milford, you can just hear it. They said coming on Sunday. That is their hope. Not right now, but they still have time and work to do.
Well, it's not up to anybody else. It's all on them whether they get there because they did everything they could here from beginning to end. No pressure on them. It was just the race was their own to just get out of the way for their next teammate. A lot of strength in this field. They took first in the event strong, showing us how strong they are, the way they just manhandled those weights, stabilizing overhead, pulling off the ground, managed those wall balls. All 4 athletes showing their strength, showing their dominance. And we hope to see them tomorrow, but we'll have to wait and see.
Those are your finishers, 5 of them here in the first heat. We did have one withdrawal. CrossFit Yaz did not start that event, so it was 17 teams on the field. The best of them, CrossFit Milford with Jamie Hagia.
An event like that, you took a lead from the beginning and finished well under the time cap. Where do you think you were able to separate yourself from the rest of the field?
I think the dumbbells, for sure. I mean, we're a very strong team. We have very thick legs. So anything that has to do with dumbbell, barbell, we love to push the pace and see what we have.
That wall ball target was a little higher than normal. How did that feel for you guys out there?
Honestly, the height felt great. The egg-shaped ball did not, but other than that, it was okay. That was definitely the hardest part of the workout. We could push the dumbbells. The guys gave us a great lead so we could like settle in. It was awesome.
You guys came into this event 25th place. They're making cuts later tonight. How important was that to you finish really strong in this event?
That was huge for us. We know we're trying to make that cut line, so we executed in this one, and we're looking forward to the next one. It has a lot of strongman implements. So if we can execute there, we're going to be here tomorrow competing, throwing down with you guys.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, they know the next one. They've got another event still today for a chance to play tomorrow. These are the 2022 NOBULL CrossFit Games. It is team event number 8 at the North Park here at the Alliant Energy Center, Madison, Wisconsin. My name's Joel Godet. Jeremy Austin, Tanya Wagner, the 2009 Games champion. Jamie Hagia is our reporter down on the field. It's been really an absolute war between these teams. The best teams race we've had in some time here in Madison. You look at that and say, oh, 42-point lead. No, it's been nip and tuck back and forth. Oslo Navy Blue has worn the leader's jersey twice this weekend. Invictus trying to wind up back on the podium for the first time since 2019. And oh, not to be denied, Mayhem trying to put 2 teams on the podium. What are we doing here for event number 8? A lot of different movements, but the dumbbell and the high ball, they take the cake.
Male, male, female, female relay with one male working at a time, and then they will swap over. Then the females will get to work. Dumbbell overhead walking lunge into dumbbell clean and jerks. 30 wall ball shots back down for another 30 wall ball shots. Dumbbell power snatch on the way back. And then the overhead walking lunge, 70 pounds for the women, 100 for the men. And the target, 11 feet and 12 feet. And it has proven to be a challenge and a massive 30-minute time cap.
Event description brought to us by Renaissance Periodization. We go down onto the field with Jamie Hagia.
These dumbbells are going to be heavier than we're normally used to seeing. We see 50-35 in the open. They are double that, 70 and 100 here. These athletes are going to have to use their core, brace it, use their legs to get it up to their shoulders. Not only this, but take it up overhead, snatch it, and walking lunges with these.
Well, take it up overhead, Jamie. What a... I mean, I would not have gotten that far. Tip of the cap to our former Games athlete. All right, recipe for success, Tanya.
These reps have to count. You can have no miss reps here, especially on the wall ball and the dumbbell. They're costly. Time matters, and your stronger athlete should go second for your cleanup athlete to go any faster if they need to make up any ground that your slowers cost you.
Lane assignments. Mayhem Freedom, Oslo Navy Blue right in the middle of the field. Oslo cannot afford to have another 10th place finish, which they have in 2 of the last 3 events. Mayhem Independence trying to close the gap. They've just been stuck in 4th place for the last 2 days. Keep on fighting. As the first male athlete is released for each of these teams, they'll begin with the 21-foot dumbbell walking lunge. Got to put 100 pounds overhead and keep it locked out.
Now we talk overhead walking lunge and length of stride versus number of reps completed. Athletes already getting some crucial no reps. Tony, you mentioned it in the recipes to success. Make every rep count, and doing extra work is not going to be any beneficial for yourself or your team. Sam Cormier doing a great job already, and no, touch and go. He's on a mission.
Guaranteed rate team to watch here. CrossFit Mayhem Freedom in first place with those leaders jerseys. First team competition at the Games for Sam Cornoyer. Rich Froning recruited him at the end of last season. They weren't sure what Chase Hill's status was going to be. He was the 2nd male on last year's championship team. And Sam Cornoyer has been on Rich Froning's radar for quite some time. That birdie was planted. CrossFit Reykjavik, though, trying to hunt down Mayhem.
Talk about Reykjavik. Khan Porter absolutely wrecking himself in the pool earlier on. Quite ill after the event. And had to be assisted by the medics because he pushed himself just a little bit too far. We'll see what that does to him later on in this event. But Mayhem, 75-point lead over Reykjavik at the moment. And I don't think that deficit is going to be made up anytime soon. But can they claw themselves back into contention, into a top 3 spot?
2 previous games individuals. Cournoyer last year was 23rd at the games. Con Porter did not qualify last year, but a vaunted past for Con at these games. And it'll be interesting to see. Do we see them on teams next year going forward, or do we see both back on that individual side?
How strong those teams are, though. You can't have a misrep. Con had that one misrep. He was able to recover quickly, though. That was impressive. A lot of times when people get kind of off tempo, it messes up more than one rep.
Well, and even look at Sam Cournoyer. As good as an athlete as he is, that's not the same rhythm you would typically see from him on a wall ball. There is an extra effort with having to throw that ball that high.
And feet just jumping back a little bit every single rep, so moving back from the target, so making it harder to hit the target each time, but extending and getting those feet off the ground. Con Porter's no rep has been costly. He is the next to finish, but that first slip up cost him about 5 to 6 seconds.
Boy, this is a fight I'd love to see. Rich Froning and Tola Morakenyo. Reykjavik on the right, Mayhem on the left. And look at Tola Morakenyo waltz with a 100-pound dumbbell.
His stride is so big. But he actually, with that stride, took a way bigger step there.
Froning is going to be about 5 reps ahead of Morakenyo by the time Tola starts the dumbbell clean and jerks. Halfway through the work here for Froning.
Tola switching now from the shoulder, while Rich switches from the ground. So 2 different strategies here.
What do you prefer?
I like to switch in the air. I don't like to pause in that hinge position. Tola just looks so strong with that, but Rich was comfortable bringing it right down, getting it out of his hands.
30 high wall balls here for Froning.
Tola's made up a bit of ground here and has just absolutely manhandled that 100-pound dumbbell. Well, if you're not going to beat Mayhem, coming a second to Mayhem is only a 3-point drop. And if you're trying to make up 75 points in the deficit.
And again, the way we're seeing Rich having to jump out of that squat, Tola's feet planted strong in the ground. Both getting full extension with their arms, but Rich just needing that extra effort.
Scan that QR code, get 50% off the RP Diet Coach app this week. Only RP Strength is the official nutrition coaching platform of the NOBULL CrossFit Games.
And that, I don't know if it was a planned strategic move to wait there for Rich, but we don't always see him take a break. It may be that he is giving himself a chance on the way back, I don't know, or he just needed the breather.
Sam Cournoyer, 1 minute 12 seconds for the first set of wall balls. Rich Froning in at 125.
And Tola Morakenyo made up some pretty significant ground there.
116.
Almost, what, 1 or 2 seconds behind was Froning's tag to Cournoyer as Tola Morakenyo tagged back in Con Porter. So same work now in reverse order. These athletes starting on the 30 high wall balls. That 12-foot target.
You make a mistake early in this event, these athletes won't be making the same mistake again. Positioning of the ball on the target so it gets that bounce off, so you can catch it in a nice high position, bring it into your chest. And a squat, one of the foundational movements of CrossFit, and we see the progression from air squat to front squat, overhead squat, and then to wall ball when you've got a weighted object you've got to hit a target with. Con Porter taking a break, which was surprising.
Saw the women on the right side of the screen waiting for their opportunity. No reps for both Sam Cournoyer and Josh Alshama. He has the neon orange wrist wraps, complete opposite of Sam Cournoyer. Invictus in a podium spot right now, and they had a tough hit on the swim, coming in 7th. So trying to fend off some charges, they need to have a good event. Corneille all alone. Now Con Porter joins him, 1 rep behind.
Both athletes switching with that dumbbell, just pulling it right back down to the ground and switching from the ground, getting just a second breather to not hold that 100-pound dumbbell.
I've got an injury for KT CrossFit, the underdogs team. Did not see it happen, but the medical team addressing them, and you can just see the look of concern on the faces for KT. That's Ivan Kukartsev that the medics are taking a look at on his right arm.
Going back to Con Porter's dumbbell snatch, he was resting the dumbbell on the ground a fair bit before changing hands. Sam Conway a little bit quicker. Con Porter making up a little bit of pace.
Good pacing though. Checked where Con Porter was in the rearview mirror, paced himself well, picks the dumbbell back up, and now these two in lockstep here. Porter just 1 step behind. Corneille overstepped his ground.
And the hardest thing is having pressure when you're trying to focus and stabilize like that.
The race now between these two on the way back is going to be interesting.
Now Tola Morakenyo made up ground on Rich Froning the first time through. Both those men back at it. 8 minutes into a 30-minute time-capped event, 5 teams finished in the opening heat. There is something very Gulliver's Travels-ish to watching Rich Froning here. He's one of the ultimate giants of the sport, and yet you have to watch him jumping up and down off of the ground, trying to reach this ultra-high target. There's just
doesn't make sense,
kind of something, yeah, tongue-in-cheek funny about it, but he is making it look easy.
But something he would have practiced in his affiliate.
Oh, for certain.
And break for Rich
Again,
Froning.
another planned break.
Closing in on 9 minutes here. Froning on the left side of your screen. Invictus's Jorge Fernandez on the right side of your screen. Again, Invictus came in a podium spot, 3rd place overall, right behind Oslo Navy Blue. Froning is done.
But we know the strength of Tola on the way back with that dumbbell.
Here he is, about 10 feet behind, walking, taking his time to the dumbbell. Would you do more than just walk here, or is that a controlled pacing for Tola Morakenyo?
It's about your breathing, it's about your breath, making sure that you want to, the way Morakenyo can hold that dumbbell, you don't want to waste any time on the dumbbell and miss pace. So breathe, make those transitions already built in, so take that as your time to breathe, to minimize stopping. Get into pace, and he threw his glasses. The fatigue is set in for sure. You can see a lot more movement in their feet. He's needing the dumbbell to get back down to the ground now, not having that same pop and transition right over to the other hand.
Mayhem has won 3 consecutive events at these games after not winning any of the first 4. That's a year after Mayhem won the first 5 en route to the largest team win in CrossFit Games history.
Tola had about a 5-second break before he did his last dumbbell snatch going into the lunge, and he is powering forward now.
And Jorge Fernandez has crept in front of Tola. Remember, Jorge was still back doing wall balls when Morakenyo picked up the dumbbell at first. Froning is done before anyone. He'll make it to the finish line. And at the 10:33 mark, the women from Mayhem Freedom are the first released to do their work. It's Taylor Williamson here. 70 pounds on that dumbbell, a 21-foot walking lunge awaits. Now here comes Morakenyo. Invictus as well, just seconds behind. So Tola actually made up ground there on Fernandez. But your 3 teams in this heat are 3 of the top 5 on the overall leaderboard. There's Brittany Weiss for Invictus. Bright orange shoes. Annie Thorisdottir in the all black. Just next to her in the lane.
Making easy work of these lunges.
Stutter step. So a lot of the athletes having to have that little stutter step. Not Annie, crushing it.
Starting to hit the halfway point here.
Dumbbell Highball, event number 8 for these teams. The males progressing through theirs. A couple have already finished, but onto the females now. The overhead walking lunge with the dumbbell, then into 10 dumbbell clean and jerks, 30 high wall ball shots, and then back down 30 wall ball shots, 10 power snatch, and then back into the overhead lunge and sprint to finish.
These are the clean and jerks here.
Annie looked super composed, just kind of the machine she is, just running through it.
Made up several seconds on Taylor Williamson and is now ahead on the wall balls. Thorisdottir has 3 to Williamson's 2.
And they establish a few points ahead of the rest of the teams in front of them. And in 4th place, we've got Mayhem Independence, Invictus, Oslo Navy Blue, and Mayhem Freedom at the helm.
Williamson on the right of your screen, left of your screen, using that height, getting full extension, really throwing those arms, staying really nice and vertical, keeping her chest up.
And also looking to be doing a faster cycle rate on those wall balls as well. Annie very controlled on the right, and the position of those hands where the ball goes every single time. She's catching it, bringing it close to her center of mass before she goes down into the squat. Same on the way back up. She's going to pop those hips before she propel the ball off her chest.
Timing is just spot on.
Oh, it's a beautiful movement.
Brittany Weiss has caught up opposite Taylor Williamson, and on the first effort of the wall ball, it bounced away from her. Taylor Williamson is done. It took her about 3 minutes, less than that, about 2.5 minutes. Andrea Nisler now.
Neck and neck.
Now think about that shoulder niggle that we have been talking about all weekend long that only has really reared its ugly head once.
Talking about Lauren Fisher.
Absolutely, and now having to move into the position. This is looking super strong for Lauren Fisher overhead. That arm position nice and close to the ear. It's going to be easy to do it. She's got a bit of a lean going on to maybe protect it a little bit more. But Lauren Fisher doesn't look like any ill effects at all.
On to the dumbbell clean and jerks. This was the challenge from Jump Street. Reykjavik threw their name into the ring. They wanted to win the CrossFit Games as a team. Andrea Nisler, though, said, hey, listen, if I just wanted to go to the games, I could have stayed at my affiliate in Minnesota and put a team together, but I came to Mayhem to do something special. And she didn't mean that in a derogatory way toward anybody else. She just said, I'm going to the best. You come for the best, you better bring your best shot. Reykjavik's made it interesting, but Mayhem's still clearly in front. Nisler all the way ahead of the wall balls.
Nisler just trashed that dumbbell. And remember, this is the pairing that will be wrapping up this event. So the ladies on the back part, they have the second women, so they will be the race at the end.
You want to be part of history, don't you?
Rich Froning's 10th championship, if you get it.
That is something special.
But remember, when you train, it's a long training year, and when you have a team that you know is coming for you, you train with them in mind all year. This is what you train for. To be side by side, to get the opportunity to have this race is what they trained for the whole time. They were who was in the back of their head, and they're doing it right here. Here's your chance.
They had a bit of a rough start early on, but they have really hit their stride.
No rep for Fisher, I believe for height of the toss.
I want you to take another look here. Andrea Nisler, when she swapped hands, she does a quick little kettlebell swing type hip drive right to the other side, doesn't miss a beat, and into it. Those are the little details that make a big difference. That is experience right there, and that strength and dominance. Really, really strong performance right there with that dumbbell.
You know Rich and his experience at this level, no doubt he would be probably getting CrossFit judges to come in and throw little curveballs like that at teams to go, hey, no rep, step back, so they are prepared for this situation exactly. So if it does happen, they just move on.
Taylor Williamson's back in on the left side of your screen. Annie Thorisdottir has now been tagged back in on the right side, but she is behind Williamson. But look at how quickly Iceland Annie is just ripping through these wall balls. It looks like Annie's playing with a 4-pound ball.
She is so strong. She really has a lot of power through her hips, through her legs, but she also has the drive. She just has that push. I remember doing wall balls next to her in 2009, and I was like, what is this girl doing? She just is, she literally is a machine, and she doesn't slow down. She gets faster as she gets in her groove.
Let me ask you about that, because now you watch what she has become, and to think back to what it was like to compete against her when you won the games, describe that evolution through your eyes.
I was at my best. She was at her novice. I don't want to say worst. I just, the most novice she was. And like, she was just unreal then, and we knew it could be so much more. There would be so much more. I'm so proud of her. I'm so impressed by her, and I'm not surprised given how she was back when she first started. But I mean, she has come so far. To be able to hang in there with and build this sport and become as dominant as she has and as strong as she has, while everyone else is doing the same thing, and be able to keep herself up there after having a baby, she's so impressive. She's very inspiring.
And shouts to Freya Frederiksdottir, her daughter, back home in Iceland. But really a woman who launched a sport across a country. The way that this sport has taken off and this methodology has taken off in Iceland. Taylor Williamson still marching ahead of Annie, though. And Thorisdottir has to back up.
Ooh.
She had one more rep.
They both had a bobble, though.
12 minutes left to go before the cap. 5 teams finished in the opening round. Here's Invictus again, Brittany Weiss. Sea of Green is in 3rd place overall. You don't want to lose ground to Reykjavik, though, because the team from Iceland's trying to hunt their way onto the podium. Williamson's done. It's all to Nisler. Annie Thorisdottir, 2nd place right now. Lauren Fisher is going to bring it home. 6 reps behind, now 7. Andrea Nisler, Lauren Fisher, toe-to-toe down the backstretch.
Great leg of that event for Annie. Nice push.
We mentioned it, Joel. It's making sure that Invictus and that Reykjavik split. It's only 3-point difference on the leaderboard per placing. Reykjavik need to make up 75 to try and catch Mayhem Freedom. Weiss taking a little bit extra time with these dumbbell snatches. And the strain, the fatigue starting to kick in, and that bent arm.
Yeah.
So trying to keep that dumbbell as close to your body, making it a whole lot easier.
Andrea Nisler seems like she hasn't done a single event all week. Like, that is a fresh attempt here in event number 8.
Strong, doesn't show signs of fatigue right now. Really great lockout overhead. That's usually where you kind of see it, the instability, the wobble, but you don't see any of that from her.
Time to beat is 26:13. We're about to hit the 20-minute mark, and all Nisler has to do is one more snatch and a 21-foot walking overhead lunge. Now, I'd say Mayhem is ridiculous. That's true. But Reykjavik's right there with him. The level of fitness across the board in this heat is phenomenal.
This is their race. This is what they came to Reykjavik came here for. Came here to try to dethrone them.
Brittany Weiss isn't that far behind either. CrossFit Oslo Navy Blue, though, needing to have a good event after a 10th place in the pool this morning. They've crept up into 3rd.
Oslo Blue coming into this event in 2nd place, trying to hold that podium position.
There goes Leanna Richter.
Folks, this is what you came to see, so don't be shy. Let's make some noise for their team.
Here comes Andrea Nisler. 4 straight for Mayhem Freedom.
20 minutes and 54 seconds.
It took 2 days, but the domination arrived. Incredible.
Smooth sailing for them yesterday. Today,
And what's crazy, Andrea Nisler out on the competition floor, we just said it, looked like she was fresh as a daisy, finishes across the finish line, and you can see every bit of sweat that she just poured out onto that field. Lauren Fisher going to try to pick up second here for Reykjavik.
There's been some carnage after the athletes have run over the line, but Nisler was just, that's okay.
You hide it well.
Their level of fitness is just ridiculous.
It is.
Kelsey Keel for Open Box Athletics finishes. That'll release Ashley Wozni. Here comes Lauren Fisher. Second place finish for Reykjavik. Could we be talking about podium position for the Icelandic team heading into tonight?
97 points, only a 3-point drop back. Standings now for the next couple. Oslo Navy Blue Invictus. Important results coming up.
That's Reykjavik's second event, second place finish after they just did that early this morning with rinse and repeat. They just keep getting better. 2/3 yesterday, 2 seconds already today. They are just building momentum.
11 reps left here for Devin Kim, former 4-time Teen Games athlete. First time back to the games. She was on the Invictus Unconquerable squad that qualified but was not able to compete last year out of the West Coast Classic. Strength is her superpower. Look at her throw around 70 pounds. A couple more reps here on the snatches. We are 7 minutes from the cap.
And what's good for Invictus, as they're sitting in third place right now, is that Mayhem Independence is not ahead of them.
Correct. The team immediately on their heels. So Reykjavik will have made up some ground, but if Devin Kim gets across here before the 26:13 mark, and here comes Hodenmere, so Oslo jumps ahead of Invictus, but that's fine as far as Invictus is concerned with a podium spot. Oslo's already ahead of them. So if Kim can come across before 26:13, they'll come in fourth in the event. Invictus should maintain a spot on the podium.
But Reykjavik was hoping somebody else would squeak in there between them and Oslo.
They're not going to. Devin Kim's done fourth for Invictus. Open Box Athletics now 5 points behind. This is a great performance for OBA.
Fantastic performance for OBA.
17th coming in. Weren't in a ton of trouble with making the cut, but you didn't want to leave it up to chance.
No, they had that great strong performance in strong, placing 8th, but this morning at the pool, rinse and repeat, they took 12th. So really nice day for them. They want to guarantee and solidify that they're going to make that cut and make sure that they get into tomorrow's competition as well.
Chloe Govan-David for Pro 1 Montreal. 3 athletes are finished for the Canadians. You can see how hot it is. It feels like 98, humidity at about 60%, actual temperature 89. There's Ashley Wozni. That's the fun team that they want to be known as.
Yes, they are not too far from our hometown.
Here comes Ashley Wozni. Joey Tortora said he loved the Torian Pro because of the fire. Shoot it off here. More flames. OBA finishes in 5th place. Except she's got to get across all the way.
Helping your teammates.
So glad to be done, but the chip timing.
Hanging meat there, throwing meat.
And Kelsey Gill just said, hey, Ashley, could you move your foot a little bit further just to be sure?
Oh, you're not done till you're done.
Looking for more finishers here. Move fast, lift heavy. Still a couple of reps to go. Independence in 4th place coming in. They are nowhere to be seen at the moment.
That's move fast, lift heavy. Sasha Nieves finishing up her lunges from Mayhem Independence.
God, they've been impressive, haven't they?
They have. They have.
And have flown under the radar completely the whole time. Like, we really haven't talked about them. But they have, their lowest finish is 14th in event 3. Other than that, top 10s across the board. Of a team of a lot of rookies at the games level. Sasha Nieves, Angela DeChico is one of the best teens of all time, but his first time competing in a team or an elite division. Luke Parker, newer to this game. Now, obviously, Alexis Johnson has a ton of teams experience. Sasha Nieves is going to run across here, and Mayhem Independence comes in 7th. Now, they're not going to be able to gain any ground on teams ahead of them, but still in top 5 position heading into the final event tonight.
Yeah, 2 sneaky teams, Independence and also Invictus. Really been overshadowed, but they have done some serious work.
It's good to have a first responder on your team, by the way. Angela DeChico is a professional firefighter. He knows how to deal with a little bit of heat.
Interesting result for Selwyn right now. They're struggling a little bit. Far right of the screen.
EXF is the next team in line to come through. Although maybe Maud Riopel could catch for Pro 1. Now it'll be EXF.
Christy Bishop.
So an 8th place finish for EXF in the heat. We now have heat 1 times starting to play a factor. Actually, Independence will wind up in 8th place in the event overall. It's 9th for EXF. Remember, 26-13 was the time to beat for Milford. 5 teams did finish in the first heat. Urban Energy and Greater Heights, the 2 teams in the top lane. Here comes Maud Riopel, and Pro 1 has finished. Here comes Greater Heights.
That's Marnie Sykes.
That's Selwyn. 90-second mark left to go. Bodies starting to flood across the finish.
The crowd is screaming, but
it doesn't matter what they say.
You don't want to pick that up. It's the last little bit. You need to make sure you're ready to stabilize. Make sure you're ready for those lunges. Love you all. Love the support, but you have to go your way. We see shaky arm right there.
And Marnie Sykes, yes, with just about a minute left to go, Selwyn has finished. Taking a little bit of effort, but most of the field here in Heat 2 accomplishing all of the work. Dumbbell Highball was the challenge. Jaylee Manzi here for Urban Energy. It was a 13th place finish for Selwyn overall. Urban Energy, 12th in the heat, 16th in the overall event. And remember, Urban Energy had just jumped the cut line this morning in the swim. Had gone from the outside in to 15th. But did they cede too much ground here? One more event before the cut still tonight.
15 seconds, Omnia. Not far away, listen, we got one on your side that might be.
There's Mary Kay Drysilker, so Omnia. And the final seconds tick off. Eighth Day was able to finish in 17th in the event. Mayhem Freedom in first. 33rd career event win, 4 in a row.
That was an unbelievable finish. That's a very generous cap if you look at the way that Mayhem finished. But Rich, once he grabbed that dumbbell, he was off. Control, positioning, everything good. It was actually so clinical with what he did. Conway, he was exceptional on the wall balls. A great race with him and Carl Porter to the end. But once Annie grabbed that dumbbell, Reykjavik were able to come in and take the lead. A very narrow one at that. Taylor Williamson doing well on the wall balls. And Andrea Nisler, tell you what, Joel, you mentioned it in the call. Same with you, Tanya. It was just so easy for her to get through the movements with the strength she has with this 70-pound dumbbell. and looked like she got through absolutely no work whatsoever. And almost 10 minutes under the time cap. That's a crazy finish.
Composure, consistency, smooth as fast, and that's what they were.
That wound up being a 1 minute win. 1 minute win for Mayhem Freedom over Reykjavik. Down to Jamie.
Sam, the order went yourself, Rich, Taylor, and Andrea. Why did you decide on that order for this event?
Because it's always like that in training. It's always me first, so yeah, I'm used to it.
Taylor, you went head-to-head with Annie. Seeing her so close to you, how does that affect your strategy or your pacing?
Who's Annie? I'm kidding. It was really fun, honestly.
And Andrea, 4 for 4. You guys won 4 first-place events in a row. How confident are you guys going into tomorrow?
I mean, we have more events coming, so we put these behind us, and we just look forward.
Rich, this is exciting for your team, but you also have 2 other teams from your affiliate here. How proud of you are of these other teams as well?
Super proud. It's fun. We've been in the same heat with Independence all weekend, and then seeing Justice's face when they come off the floor is not very motivating, but it's fun. It's good. Proud of them.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
3 teams from the same affiliate location at the games for the first time ever. I do like the cheekiness from Taylor Williamson.
Snap. Whoa.
She did say kidding.
She did. That delay was probably a little bit too long, though.
Partially. We've got more to come for the teams, but we've got so much more to come overall at the NOBULL CrossFit Games as we roll on here on Saturday. Full coverage online at games.crossfit.com. Jamie Hagia down on the floor. For Jeremy Austin, Tanya Wagner, the rest of our crew, my name is Joel Gadet. Coverage continues next from Madison, Wisconsin.